I pledge allegiance to
Allegiance
the flag
to the flag
of the
of the United
States
States of America
and
to the republic
which it
which it
stands,
stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I always have the urge to yell, play ball after that. Okay, do I hear a motion to set the agenda?
Move to set the agenda.
I'll second.
Motion made by Jack, seconded by Lance. Any discussion?
I don't know if this is where I'd just like to add, talk about adding or talk about helping the athletics and activities departments at the middle school and the high school with some extra monies that they're needing to make this whole thing work for adding winter sports and session B with volleyball, just some extra expenses that they've got.
Okay, go ahead.
Can I just address that real quick?
Okay, please.
Stacy, we have a meeting with Dave Robinson, Kyle and I do tomorrow to look at the budget and have that discussion.
Okay, I'd like to include the middle school because I think they've had some extra expenses because the cameras and that kind of stuff and the fog machine and security, just to make sure that since they don't have any income.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
So,
absolutely.
Okay.
Lori, do you know, in that discussion, are you going to be talking about the proposal from the city with the baseball fields? As far as some being able to kick in some funds to help with the baseball fields at the park?
Oh, I wasn't aware of that, but yes, we can definitely add that as an agenda item.
Okay.
Under discussion?
Oh, I meant during our meeting.
Oh, during your meeting, okay.
Yeah.
That
And,
would be the best place for it, yes.
and is that Park DeVita baseball field, Sherry?
Yeah, the city fields there. I
Okay.
know
And someone
that Dave
unmute
Robinson has
Chris.
been in contact with Tim Passel in regards to a lot of that, so.
Yes, I would be glad to cover that.
Thank you.
And I'm trying to find Chris, actually, and I'd like to acknowledge Jamie Johnson, who's going to be running our IT tonight. So thank you, Jamie.
Thank you, Jamie.
And find Chris.
I'm asking him his username.
Which Chris?
He has
Our
phone
Chris.
ending 4556. So it should be a phone number.
I think so.
I bet it's this one.
I see a 4555.
Yeah.
Is that Chris Flaherty?
Yeah, that's him.
Here I
So
am.
I'm trying to.
Hey,
okay.
Chris, how are
You guys hear
you?
me?
We are.
There
Hi,
he
Chris.
is.
Evening.
We're doing
Good
well,
evening,
thank
everybody.
you.
You were lost, Chris. I'm glad you.
Yeah.
Chris,
Appreciate
we're setting the agenda now, and Stacy has thrown out about the athletic department at the high school and middle school, and Lori's meeting with them tomorrow, so we're not adding it to our agenda. Is there anything else that we need before we vote on our agenda?
No, I was able to listen in on that, but I don't
Okay.
have anything to add on top of that. Thank you.
Okay, does anybody else?
No.
Okay, let's call for the question.
Sherry Wright,
Aye.
Sherry Noyes,
Aye.
Jack Schoenenmeyer,
Aye.
Tammy Hooten,
Aye.
Lance McDaniel,
Aye.
Chris Flaherty,
Aye.
and Stacy Hall.
Aye.
Okay. Approval of the minutes for January 19th, regular and executive session, January 26th work session, February 4th special board. Hear a motion for that?
I make a motion to approve those minutes.
Do I hear a second? Was that Tammy?
Yeah.
Okay, motion made by Stacy, seconded by Tammy. Any discussion?
I just had one thing and it's not it's a big thing, but not really, for Phyllis to just, for Chevelle Reed, her name is Chevelle Reed, and it looks like she had Chevella Reedy
Reedy, yeah.
and so it should be Chevelle, then just Reed.
And Sherry, do you know what minutes those were on?
That was
Page
just,
two,
last
the
month.
regular meeting.
Oh, yeah, the regular board meeting.
Okay. Yeah, we want to make sure that we get it right. Any other corrections? Okay, do I hear a motion? Not a motion, let's call for the question.
Sherry Wright,
Aye.
Sherry Noyes,
Aye.
Jack Schoenenmeyer,
Aye.
Tammy Hooten,
Aye.
Lance McDaniel,
Aye.
Chris Flaherty,
Aye.
Stacy Hall.
Aye.
Okay, celebration reports.
I have a few. Oh, go ahead, Sherry.
Go ahead, Lori.
No, Stacy, go ahead.
I meant to do this one last month, but I'd just like to congratulate the Raps on their new baby. They had a new baby in December, and I forgot to do it in January.
Oh.
And then, yeah, very exciting. He's a very cute little thing. He's a darling little thing. I've got to see him a couple of times. He's
Oh, good.
a little chunky. And then I've reached out to a couple of administrators, and I'd really like to try and keep doing that just as myself every month. The middle school, Drew Pearson had some outstanding kids help on the superintendent search committee, and he said they were great. They did a great job, and he just wanted to recognize Jairus McDonald, Adriana Smith, Alex Bennett, and Adeline Martinez for their help on that. We also had some middle school boys go down to Phoenix this weekend and play in a basketball tournament, and they took the championship game and won that whole tournament.
Nice.
And then Ty Blackmer at the high school is going to sign a letter of intent to play baseball at Valley City State University in Valley City, North Dakota, which is a great thing. And then I don't know if any of you have heard, but we've got a young lady at the high school by the name of Hannah Fish, who has made it to the blind auditions for The Voice. And that young lady has worked really hard, and along with Marla Sitton, I think that young lady has accomplished a lot in the last few years. So I'd just like to recognize those people.
Great, thank you. Anybody else?
I have a few additional ones.
Okay.
Celebration is that we have participants in our games. So that's very exciting.
It is.
And just an update, the Durango game was moved to tomorrow night. So we'll be able to listen to it because it was originally scheduled for time. Our vaccination clinic, which we'll have a further discussion on this later in the board meeting, but is scheduled for this Saturday. So the health department will be doing over approximately 215 vaccines for our staff. So that's very exciting. And then after tonight, per board approval for our RISE position to help facilitate and move forward our work through the homegrown initiative. We received this as part of the innovation grant. We'll be able to hire for that, which is really exciting.
Lori,
Thank you.
Lori, you said 250 doses at the hospital for the staff?
Yes.
And how much, I mean, is there that much staff, or do we need more than that to satisfy the staff that wants vaccinated?
No, that should be I know that the HR department's been calling staff and confirming their appointments today. So I know Carol's going to be giving more of an update during discussion
Okay.
on the
right.
vaccine, so we can see where they ended up tonight. But I believe that they're going to have plenty of vaccines that we can even address the people on the waiting list that didn't sign up originally. So.
All right, thank you. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Carol.
No, that's correct. We can, at this point, we have enough vaccine to satisfy everyone that has indicated an interest in getting vaccinated.
Okay, thank you.
Fantastic. That's great. Any more celebration reports? We have snow, guys. I know it's a pain, but oh my gosh, that means my summer is going to be much easier.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I'm going to celebrate that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
And I would like to know that it is snowing and the wind's blowing now, even though we
Yeah.
a clear day.
yes, yes, it was dropping a few when I let my dog out just a few minutes ago. So
Yeah, like Stacy said, it's trying to forecast Colorado weather.
yeah. Yeah. Kind of like looking at that rock outside, isn't it? Is it wet or white or? Hey, let's go to our superintendent reports.
All right, well, good evening, board, and my report is included in your packet. And in reviewing my report earlier tonight, a lot of what's included in my report we will be addressing later on in the board meeting. A couple of things I would like to just highlight is that Kyle and I, if possible, would like to schedule a time with the board to have a work session prior to the next board meeting, just to give an update on budget and the budgeting process. And then also with the stimulus money that has came in, there's going to need to be some direction from the board in how to allocate that and the expenditures there. And we definitely have what the guidelines that are, they're not as strict as the first group of stimulus money, which is very exciting, and so there is some there that we just like to make the board aware of and definitely elicit board feedback as we move forward with the budget development. And then other than that, I believe everything else that I have included in my packet will be addressed later on in the board meeting. Thank you.
Okay, I just have one quick question for you, Lori. On the COVID district vaccination plan, it says that they're going to be administered Saturday, March 20th, and then it says the second vaccine is scheduled for Saturday, March 20th. Am I reading that correctly?
Okay, so the first one is February 20th.
Okay.
Oh,
And it's
okay.
March 20th.
Is that-
And I'm glad
Okay, so
that you called that out, because that's a very important point to a conversation we'll be having later on in the
Yes.
board meeting.
Okay,
So this Saturday for the first one, and then March 20th for the second one.
okay.
Is
So
it-
yeah, I kind of figured it was probably just a typo thing, so.
Yeah, thank you.
The work session, do you guys want to have it before our board meeting, or do you want to have a special night?
And this is the one with Kyle?
Before is okay with me.
I'm sorry?
Well, I spoke with Kyle today and I think maybe we should dedicate a
An
special
evening?
night or
Okay.
earlier start or something, but I would like to at least have an hour, a good solid hour with him.
What's the board's pleasure?
Well,
I
if we
can go-
started at 6, that'd give us an hour.
Yeah,
Start at 6, yeah? Is that okay with everybody if we start at 6 on the 16th?
That's fine with me.
Sharon?
I'm good.
Yeah, that'll work for me.
Tracy?
Yeah, just stay
Yeah.
diligent to our time so that we
Len?
can.
good point, Jack. Thanks.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Did I miss anybody? Tammy, Jack? I think that's it. So, Phyllis, if you'll put on the agenda for us to start at 6 o'clock before our board meeting on the 16th, March 16th.
I will.
Thank you. Staff reports. Let's see. The next one on mine is Jeanette Allen.
Good evening, board. So I included my report with the packet. I don't really have anything to add to that report unless you have any questions.
I did. Just a minute. I'm trying to figure out my notes. So does anybody else have one?
I just had a question on the hotspots, if we were able to get those distributed, or however you want to call that.
Yes, we are in the process of working through that. We've distributed quite a few at this point, and I think we're getting another grant for another through CDE to get some additional hotspots. So that process is going well. It does take a little bit of time to contact families and identify those families who were most need first, and then start distributing them out.
Great. Anybody else?
I just want to say thank you to Jeanette for the last few years, and I'm wishing her well in retirement. And I hope she has a whole ton of fun and relaxes and just takes time to chill out. So thank you, Jeanette, for all you've done, and I appreciate all I've learned from you.
Ditto. Yeah, ditto. Thanks, Jeanette.
Ditto. Thank you. Jeanette.
Ditto, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's been a great pleasure to work for this district. There's a lot of great things going on in the district. Yeah, it's been a good 8 years. Thank you so much.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank
Jeanette,
you.
I have one question on the RISE grant, and we're hiring somebody for that if we approve it. What kind of sustainability will we have to have? How long will the grant last? Where do we go from here?
That's a good question, Sherry. So the grant's only 18 months. And we wrote the grant with the idea of really implementing the work that needs to be implemented. There will potentially need to be some sustainability with the work that HGI work is going on. But for this, it's mostly about getting some systems and structures in place to really support the flexibility, the personalized pathways that students have, creating the schedule, the online courses that, so it's building the structures, which takes manpower and someone dedicated to doing that. So when we wrote the grant, we had that in mind.
Okay, so it lasts 18 months, and then HGI will kind of pick it up and push it forward.
Well, yeah. So it'll be integrated into the work with the HGI and the work that's happening. So this coordinator will help set up some of the scheduling work we have, helping to support students so that they can take the internships that's supported through the HGI work.
After reading all this stuff, I'm so excited for it, but I just wanted to make sure that we were going in the right direction with sustainability. So thank you very much. I appreciate everything you've done.
Thank you.
And we will have a presentation to the board to update the board, because it's pretty exciting work that they're going to be able to move forward. But in probably not next year, but the following year, the board will need to look at sustaining a position for this work. But hopefully with these 2 grants, everything will be put in place.
Yeah.
Those positions are equally
Awesome.
essential in getting the system created.
After reading all of this, I've just been so excited for it. I really think we're going the right way. So thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
Anything else for Jeanette? Okay, my next one is Carol.
Good evening, board. It's nice to see everyone. My board report is pretty self-explanatory, and the most exciting part actually has to do with our COVID vaccination clinic, which I know is a discussion item later in the agenda. And so I will hold off on my comments on that unless there are any questions on the rest of my board report.
It looks like it's just that same deal, March 20th. Should that be
So
changed
yeah,
to
so it's probably
February?
that same correction that it's February 20th and March 20th. Yep. So
Yep.
to be clear, the first clinic is February 20th, which is Saturday, and then the second one is March 20th.
Okay.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Carol.
Thank you. And Carol, the same goes for you. We appreciate everything you've done. I see that you've turned in and you're wanting to leave us. We're not sure we want to let you go, but thank you. You have been phenomenal.
I would echo that. And I learned a lot from you too, Carol. Thank you.
Yeah, me too.
Lots of knowledge learned, yes.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I wish you the best.
Thank you, everyone. It's definitely, I've appreciated so much the opportunity to work with Lori and the rest of the team and the principals and the teachers. It's just been a really great learning experience for me as well. And I'm really proud of all of the good work that is going on in the district, and feel like we have just such a good momentum and a strong foundation and great leadership and teachers in all the buildings. And I'm excited to see what comes next for the district.
Yes, you've started us the right direction. So thank you very much.
She's done some incredible work in the district. As well as Jeanette, it's just been a really dynamic team and a privilege to work with the team as well as all the school administrators.
Yes.
A lot to be proud for in this district.
Yeah.
Yes, we have gone great leaps and bounds. Any more comments for Carol? Hey, let's go to Jamie.
Good evening, board. Good to see you, and I'm in full agreement with the snow. I love it. I wish we could get about another 4 feet in the next. A lot of shoveling snow, but I actually have always liked that. So, anyway, thank God we got that, and hopefully it continues. So I did send you a board report and several topics on it, and I will preen through these, and feel free to ask questions after each topic. The first one is the HVAC, in particular, Mesa Elementary School. It looks like that's wrapped up. I got a text from Dean Matthews yesterday on that. And so we're going to do a walkthrough tomorrow with Ray Lopez. There's only one piece of trim on some pipes that are missing. They're continuing to run the system. Every once in a while, they'll get a default. I remember that at Kemper, but it will get ironed out. And so we're getting there. We did get another rebate check, or it's going to be sent to us for Mesa, which will be $25,800. So cumulatively speaking, with Kemper, Lewis, and Mesa, that's $96,000 we weren't really expecting. So I'm pretty thrilled about that. Also, when I was talking to Empire Electric, this is just an FYI for you, board. If you so choose to put in systems, if they're new systems at other schools, these rebates are available also.
Okay.
So I'm going to switch to the next topic. Are there any questions in regards to HVAC first?
So when you finish this walkthrough, you're completely finished with all HVAC.
All HVAC at Mesa. There's some trim at Kemper, and I think they need to do some minor thing out at Lewis.
Okay. And the roof at Kemper, that's taken care of? Was that wasn't it Kemper that was having the issue with the roof?
Yes, but yeah, that was taken care of, and we had a professional roofer do the boots on that. So it did not invalidate any warranties on that.
Oh, good, good, good.
And just a quick question. So once you do the walkthrough, is it just you and Ray, or is there like a some like an inspector or anybody that comes through and does that with you, or is it just kind of?
It's just us, Sherry. There's no inspector, and we'll have we'll do it with the contractor too. We did that probably 10 days ago and took a lot of pictures and gave him a punch list. And there's just one thing in the gym with some pipes we want to double check on. The contractor was saying it was already in the shape it was in, but the Mesa staff is saying no. And so we'll get to the bottom of it tomorrow.
Fantastic.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And just a quick update with the Mana Elementary School boilers. We were having some issues with those in December and January. They've fixed the main boiler. Again, that's very old. Both of them are. And we have a request for proposal out with bids coming in March 1st. And we'll take a look at those, but I firmly believe we better replace those for the middle of the winter and kids are not able to go to school because of the lack of heat.
Yeah.
So a capital reserve request will follow next month, and I'll update you on that when we get that information.
Okay.
Another building that needs some heat is the transportation department. The mechanical bay there has some overlight or overhead heaters. I think they're propane and they are in need of dire repair. So we put out a request for proposal there. Though that was not expected, so to speak, but I think that'll be a good bit cheaper than Mchs. And again, when we get the request out and the bids in, then we'll bring that proposal to you as well, a capital reserve.
Okay.
All right, we met with CDOT last Thursday. It was a productive meeting. I was happy in the sense that they're continuing to work on things. The intersection conflict warning system, that's the official term or name of the system. They've ordered that and they said it'll take about 6 months to come in. And that's where it'll alert on incoming traffic or traffic on 491 if there's a conflict at the intersection or people at the stop sign, so to speak. And so we're pleased with that. Just again, to recap from last month's meeting, the director of CDOT, when I pushed to continue trying to get the speed limit lowered, she said, I want to try this first. And I agree with her. I think we need to do that. Also, the lady in Durango, the regional manager, was under the impression that the 55-mile-an-hour signs were not, they were in place, but that, Sherry, you mentioned they weren't. And I let her know that. And so she said they'll get those in a couple weeks. So keep me posted on that if you would.
Okay, I will. Drive past them every day, 2 or 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, the lockdown drills, they went very well. And as I mentioned in the board report, I believe everyone continues to take the drills seriously, and the students and the staff know what to do. And we can never be over prepared when it comes to school safety or in particular dire emergencies. So the school safe radios, they finally have that bridging system working well. And they are going to continue to do the bridge test. I'll probably do one this week again. I think it's just something we're going to have to probably check every 10 days or so. Because since they reprogrammed them, they had some issues. They did send a technician down. The bridges last week, the bridging with the schools went quite well. I think it was Mesa could hear Kemper and we could hear Mesa, but other than that, it wasn't everyone in the district hearing the bridge. So as I understand it, that's more of an issue with dispatch and the technicians, and they need to get that end of it working. So I was pleased about that. The last thing I have is campus parking lot lighting. This is critical, and I would say about 10 days ago, Stacy gave me a call and she was driving by Mesa Elementary early in the morning and it was dark and there's some cars there and the lights that are on the side of the building are not adequate. So it was a good conversation and I got our electrician and Ray Lopez to come over there. And the more we looked, the more we could see. Also, as Stacy mentioned, Mchs was pretty dark. The parking lot light at the middle school where we had issues and finally got that light working. That's really pretty good. And we're going to put one of those at Mesa. We're hoping to do something like that at Mchs. Kemper's a different story because we have residents on each side of the building. But what we have found out is they make new energy efficient LED lights that have a screener where they will just point down and catch like half of the street, but should be much brighter than what we have. And so the more I talked with Ray and Brian, the farther it went. They estimated about $6,600. It did not include Lewis or Pleasant View. We had actually been talking to Drew Pearson about some more lights out in front of the middle school too, where they're hoping to put their play structure. So you will see a capital reserve coming to you tonight for $10,000, and it's exclusively for additional lighting. The lights at these buildings, these older ones in particular on the side, are very dim. They're yellow, and they make much better ones. And I feel like we need to really brighten those up, as Stacy mentioned too. And thank you for that, Stacy.
Well, thank you,
One
Jamie,
thing-
for doing that. The safety of those people is our utmost importance. So
Yes, that's
Oh,
our
yeah.
whole purpose.
Absolutely. And I remember walking teachers out to their cars at parent-teacher conferences, and those were completed at night, and it is so dark out there.
yeah.
That
So,
the technology's come a long ways. And one thing we have to really watch is that we do not have these shining on any residential homes, obviously. And Brian, our electrician, said that was a big issue at Manaw in the alley in the past. So I think we can get around that and make it where there's good lighting and around all of our schools. And hopefully this will be enough to do that.
Fantastic.
Jamie.
Thank you. And you said
Thank
that we
you,
get
Jamie.
rebates on that also, right?
Thank you. And thanks,
Thank you.
Stacy. Appreciate
Jamie,
it, everyone.
I'd like to, first of all, I'd like to say thank you for all your work and out at Lewis area. Well, I bet that was a learning experience for you, the staff, the students, and the parents as far as dealing with government agencies and stuff like that. So I'm sure everybody learned a little bit from that. And I'd also like to thank you for everything that you've done. And sorry to see you go as well. I've learned a lot from you as well. So thank you, Jamie.
Thank you. And it's really tough. I couldn't be in a better school. The middle school is the same way, and staff, and it's been a blessing. And like I said a month ago, this is an incredible school district. Some people don't know that, but it really is. So thanks to all of you. It's been nice to work with you, and
Yeah.
we still have a few more months to raise Cain.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, Jamie, some
Thank
people may
you.
not know it, but you and I've been together for a long, long time.
Oh,
We
boy.
taught that way back when you were just like me, a lowly teacher. So you
Yes,
have
we both.
just really gone out of your way to be an asset to our district. Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you. I always enjoyed working with you at the middle school, Sherry, and all
had
of you.
fun.
So thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Jamie.
Yeah,
You
thank
bet,
you, Jamie.
Sherry.
Jamie.
Thanks, Chris.
Next is Kyle.
Good evening, board. I think Jamie might be able to turn my video on. But anyhow, we'll see if we can get that on. In my board report this month, I just included an analysis of, I believe, a discussion item later on this evening. So I essentially summarized it, what the liability is to the district if we decided to move in a few directions. So if you have any questions on that, I can definitely speak to that. But again, I think we'll be discussing that later. I also included a couple reports that were requested last month be included in the board reports. And that was the capital reserve, the 5-year plan. And one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to update that report and resend it back out with you with the 1920 actuals to be able to compare it kind of relatively to the years before as well. So just wanted to update you on that you'll be getting an updated one shortly this week. I also included the expense report for all the CRF funds that we received last year and this year. So that means the 1920 school year and this school year 2021. And just as a note, all those funds have been expended. So those have been completely spent up to, I think, January or December 31st was the cutoff date for those. And then I also included a ESSER funds expenditure report that I'll also be including as a monthly report as well. Just as a note, and I thank you guys for setting that work session. We'll be discussing some ESSER 2 funds coming our way this spring, and then some possible rural funding that might be coming our way after legislation. And I talked to the board treasurer earlier about that as well. So Another thing I added was the budget timeline, the proposed timeline for this year. So get the budget set for next school year. I've been talking to the principals, now next on to the directors, but it's been very welcoming, and I'm very pleasantly, I mean, all the principals are great. It's been nice getting to know them on a one-to-one basis a little more and seeing where they're at and going to visit the schools when I can. So that's been nice. And then one thing that I didn't have on the report, but there is a supplemental budget request for JOM funds. We received, I believe, $30,000 all overall, $6,000 to each school from the Ute Mountain Tribe. And so it was $6,000 to each school that's really meant to be spent on our Native American kids and programs and supporting those kids in those schools. So you'll be seeing that as well. But other than that, I hope you guys stayed warm over the weekend with all the snow. And I'm keeping my ear to legislation, trying to do the best I can to come up with some scenarios for budget with everything happening at the state level, the local level, and even the turnover that we're going to have in the administration level. There's lots of variables looking into next year. So I'm going to do my best to come up with as many scenarios and options we can. Lori's been very helpful, and it's been very helpful coming to this district, being set up in a position where we have options and where other districts really don't have the, I guess, the variables that we have or the goals that we can set. So I appreciate that. But if there are any questions with any of that, I stand for questions at this time, or sit for questions.
I have one.
Yes.
Is an hour going to be long enough for us?
I think so. I think I can come up with a solid agenda and some good analysis and have some good discussion. And then we may decide to have another one thereafter. But I think I don't believe we need to set any more time right now.
Okay. Thank you.
And Kyle, just for clarification, we may want to have one a little later when we, the finance long bill is just, it's always a moving target until later on in the spring. So if we could have a meeting, talk about our one-time funding, the allocation and how that will fit into our general fund, then perhaps we can have a later work session.
Right.
When we have more of a projection, which obviously will have a couple of scenarios with those projections from the Colorado budget later on. And Kyle did a really nice timeline that's included in the board report also.
He really has, board. I was really impressed with our 90-minute conversation this morning. He is so detail oriented and so thought-provoking forward. I'm really looking forward to working more with Kyle, and Lori has really groomed him well up to this point as well. So Lori, thank you for your leadership with him right now. It's been shown, and his capabilities are just going to blow you away. I was very impressed.
My only regret is I won't be able to work longer with Kyle.
We will probably rope you in a time or two, so don't count your chickens
There
yet.
might be some focus groups or something.
Yeah. Thank you, Kyle. I appreciate everything you've done, and I really did appreciate your report. It was great amount of detail, which I appreciated.
Yeah, and I really
agree.
appreciate that timeline.
Mm-hmm.
Good job.
Thank you.
Okay, we're still on staff reports. Am I missing anybody? Okay, board requests and reports. You did receive the email from Jack, and thank you, Jack, for doing that. I was going to send it out, and then I found it in my packet, so I did not go ahead and send it out. But just to make sure that we follow our sunshine law with our superintendent search and different things. So thank you. Does anybody have anything to talk about before I start in? On board reports. Tammy, is there anything from LRC?
It's going to be in with a report that Lori has with CMAS, trying to get that waived. Resolutions in our board on that packet board. I'm just watching state budget while everybody's back in session. So we're just watching what the state's doing right now.
And I attended a meeting with Alec Garnett, the Speaker of the House. And he took.
Oops.
You're muted.
I did not touch my screen. I was flipping papers. Maybe, but anyway, he's pulling for us and on our CMAS and on our funding. He said that they're trying to restructure the cuts, including BEST, because they cut it $100 million last year. Over there.
Wow.
So and so that's not good. That's where the schools get their capital. So the CASB, it was a CASB link, and they said that they would send data to them to show how we are doing our own assessments. So anyway, but the rest of it is in the meetings. And Jack, I'm going to need you with me on this one, on the county, on the my mind just went blank, on the land dedication. Are you, Jack sat in on the lawyer with me on this one. And to really put it in a nutshell, they said that it had been a long time since we had visited our resolution and that we would need to revisit it because we were undercutting ourselves quite substantially. If anybody wants to protest it, they have to go to the county commissioners, because when we adopted our resolution, the county commissioners adopted theirs, and the county commissioners are the only people who can waive it. Is that correct, Lori and Jack?
Yeah, I agree, Sherry. We had a good discussion with our attorney, and it's basically we have no authority in this case. It's the county commissioners are the ones that can make changes. But I think and I also agree with Sherry that we need to take a look at this whole process, because we're really cheating ourselves. The attorney said we're much lower than say other school districts would be, and so we need to bring that up to date.
Right. And she said that she would do she said that she would do a new resolution for us if we so desired. And Lori said that she would check into that and see how it's going. Who had a question? I'm sorry.
Well, I just had a question. Is that something that we have to go through the commissioners as well for us to make that to change that resolution?
We can, and Jack, you're more legal minded than I am, but we cannot waive it without going through the commissioners. We cannot revoke our resolution. Is that correct, Jack?
That's my understanding, and and then we'll see what Kristen has to say, but she's basically going to give us a more up-to-date sample of the report, and then it would be, of course, up to the board to look at that and make a decision to go forward. And then it would be, my understanding, it goes to the county commissioners, and then they make a decision on it. But once they make the decision, then it's final.
Right.
Okay.
That was my takeaway also.
Okay.
So do you want us to bring this back next month as an action item and have us send out the resolution ahead of time for you to read? And then we'll need to decide if we're going to do it and visit with the county commissioners, or if we're going to adopt a new resolution. Is that how does the board want to go?
I would like to do that. I mean, there's no point, no reason to put it off, because we could again be cheating ourselves out of a significant amount of dollars, depending on what happens in the community.
So
And-
I'll follow up with Kristen on the updated resolution, and then would I, Kyle and I will work on this together so he has the background information moving forward. But then would I work with Sherry and Jack then on the resolution that Kristen sends prior to the board meeting?
Okay. Now work. And so Phyllis, will you put on for an action item next month on land dedication?
Yes, I made a note. Thank you.
Thank you. The other thing that I have on board report is superintendent search. We received a brochure today from Phyllis. I hope everybody looked at it. If you have any comments, please get them to Phyllis. She's our liaison and she's the one that's working with them. And
Phyllis, I sent you an email. I'm not sure it went through. Did you get mine?
Yes, I did. Thank you.
Okay, all right.
And when I spoke to them yesterday, they said that at this point they had 9 applications, and I will put it in quotes, several, unquote, were very good. So I don't know. That's as much as I know. That's the update. They're going to give us later on, they will update us on the town hall meetings, the stakeholder meetings, and let us know how that goes, how that went. But they're having another one, I think, tonight. So anyway, any questions? Any comments? Any reports?
Sherry, when the board's done reporting, can we back around to Jim Parr? There's some exciting news he was going to report on for Louisville and CMS, and I forgot to acknowledge him during that portion of the board meeting.
Okay.
Jerry, before we get to Jim Parr, I just wanted to just give out to the board and anybody that's listening from the LRC, the Legislative Resolution Committee. They're just recommending that we get a hold of our state representatives and state senators and give them our specific story around financing. So they need to hear from the rural areas, because right now they're so inundated with Metro that our voices need to be heard. So I'm just calling us to order to start sending our stories up to the state level.
And so Don Coram is our senator and Mark Catlett is our representative. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
So I may have their numbers. I think I do. If you need them,
I can get their numbers and send them to Phyllis to get them out to everybody.
Okay. All right. If you could do that. And if you're listening, just call Phyllis and she can give the numbers to you there, or the district admin, if you don't know who Phyllis is. Okay.
Can we put it on the website?
Yeah. Oh, that'd be great. Yeah.
Yeah, great idea.
Man, it's fantastic. Thank you.
Keep Phyllis from spending all her day on the phone.
She does anyway, I think. She does with me anyway. Okay, so Carol, can you make sure it gets on the website? Isn't Carol the one that usually? Okay, thank you. I think you're the one that we talked to, aren't you? So.
Yes, we'll make sure we get on the website.
All right, thank you very much. Anything else, Tammy?
Nope, that's it. Thanks.
Anybody else have a report? Comment? No. Okay, Lori, Jim Parr.
Good evening, board. Thank you. I just wanted to keep you guys abreast of something that's going on that's pretty exciting at Louis Ariola and at Cortez Middle School. Many of you may be aware that around a year ago, members of our PTO engaged in looking for new playground equipment for the school.
Right.
Well, upon the discovery of the cost of what that would entail, even though they had some super successful fundraising events take place and they collected quite a bit of donation money, that money turned out it wouldn't be quite enough to buy one piece of equipment, let alone do more. So they embarked on a mission to find an opportunity where they could use the funding that they had and leverage that to even greater funding. And so they found a consultant group that writes grants specifically for these type of things. And this group started to engage in this process early last summer. And ultimately what happened is COVID funding kind of overwhelmed a lot of grant givers in the early part of last summer. So resources weren't quite available. But it turns out that was a bit of a blessing, because what happened subsequently is, as the summer went on and the consultants continued to look for grant opportunities, they found a grant opportunity that primarily would fund middle school playground and play structure areas, but would entertain a joint venture between Louis Areola and Cortez Middle School. So our PTO members, and some of them are parents at CMS right now as well, have been working diligently to make things happen. And as of December or so, we started putting together surveys, collecting information from students, parents, and staff members and members of the community about what might they like to see in those places as far as play structures go. And to sum it all up, as of Saturday, our group submitted some grant proposals to the Colorado Health Foundation that if we're awarded this between the two schools, we're looking at roughly $700,000 in playground equipment. That would help us at Lewis we would be moving the old stuff, which ironically, when they came out to look at it, said it's the oldest stuff they've seen. We would be able to move our playground to a safer location, along with having some brand new equipment. And CMS would be having a play structure put in place there as well. So our fingers are crossed. Like I said, these grants were submitted as of Saturday after a lot of work from a lot of people, mostly parents and members of our community that really support this. And so, yeah, our fingers are crossed that in a couple months we'll have an idea about whether we're going to receive these grants. But up to almost over $700,000, and that's pretty impressive.
Wow, it's incredible.
And so we're excited, and hopefully we'll have some good news here in a couple months about what that looks like. And the timeline would be that if these grants were awarded, that we would be on these structures by the beginning of next school year. So,
oh, nice,
pretty progressive.
Mr. Parr, did you tell them that you would sell the equipment at an antique price?
You know, we actually have parents out in Lewis that are like clamoring for some of that stuff. So we might have to fight them off first. So.
They need to have an auction. Have an
There you
auction.
go.
Have an auction, yeah. For the betterment of the school. So.
Yes, indeed. Well, thank you for your time. I appreciate that.
Those Louis Areola parents can raise some money. Let me tell you, I had a grandson out there last year, and those parents they're awesome.
They pay money for desserts, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
Lots of money. They're good desserts.
Yeah, they are.
And they have been more than supportive of us at the school over the years, and we can't thank them enough for their efforts in this and so many things. So, you know, it's a blessing for sure.
Well, good job to all of you.
You have some really good parents out there.
Thanks, Jim Parr, for that exciting news.
Yes.
It's always uplifting to hear something positive. Thank you very much.
That's right. And Drew has a big part to play in this as well, Drew Pearson. So I don't know if he's on and wanted to say anything or not, but it's a collaborative effort between all of us.
I am here. Yeah, I'm here. Sorry. I just want to say thank you particularly to Amber Rosenbaugh and Nicole Young. They stepped in as parents and helped out a ton with us and did a lot of, there's some video, sorry. They did a lot of work just collecting surveys and stuff. And this was a really rigorous timeline that we were on, and they went fast and furious to make it happen. And we got everything in, and Jim and I got a chance to look through the grant, and it was, I wanted to copy and paste a lot of it because I feel like if we shared the information that was put together, we could get a lot of other opportunities. But it was a great job, and thanks, Jim, for letting us be a part, and all those at Lewis, because this kind of fell in our lap because of what they were doing, but it could really benefit the middle school in a great way. So we're very thankful.
Those two ladies are quite awesome.
Yeah, they do a great job.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, anybody else?
You muted again.
Lori, you're muted again too.
Yeah, I just muted.
Oh.
Background noise coming in. But let's see if we get Sherry unmuted. There we go.
Wait, and I don't even touch my screen. I don't know why it keeps going there. When Jim was talking, it made me think of something I read today. And it's where the schools are, and I think it was Alamos I was reading about, partnering with their community. And for the summer to have fun education classes where the community pitches in and does things to help the kids learn and have a safe place at a minimum to no cost. So it's something that I think that we should explore. I don't know a great deal. I don't remember where I read it, but I will find it, I hope. Because it was really good reading that about the community, the schools collaborating to keep the kids busy and learning through the summer. So just something that Jim jarred in my mind. Okay, anything else? Okay, we are at Citizens Address the Board. Before we start, I need to remind people that when you address the board, we do not respond to you. You address it, we listen to you, and I personally take lots of notes, and then we will discuss it at a later time. But we don't do any knee-jerk reactions. We listen, and then we will discuss it at a different board meeting. So, Lynette Ward, are you on? Does anybody know? Is Lynette Ward on?
I believe she is. Let me reach out to Jamie Johnson.
Too many Jamies.
I allowed chat.
Let's see. Isn't she going to address it verbally?
No, it's all chat.
It's all chat? Okay, I don't have my chat on. There we go.
So Jamie's working on it right now.
Okay. While she's doing that, does somebody want to call Melvin Hicks or am I to call him? I'll have to look up his phone number.
I have his phone number, whoever needs it.
Do I need it? Do I need to call him?
I believe that was the agreement, Sherry.
Okay. What's the phone number?
970
Uh-huh.
565 8028. And he's aware that he'll be receiving a phone call.
Okay. And so he's going to be talking to us via the phone. Is that correct?
Yes, he has no technical means to communicate otherwise.
Okay. So is Lynette on, or do we know anything? She sent me an email yesterday or today. Did everybody get it? And so I'm trying to do this. Does anybody know if Lynette's on?
She is on.
Okay.
So,
What is that?
not sure.
Board, I have to step away for just a minute and I'll be back.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, I heard something from Lynette that says that she has a lot to address. So
Is there no way for her to call in?
yeah,
where we can listen to her?
you know, if we're going to let Melvin talk on the phone, I think we should Lynette also.
Let me see.
That she had 3 pages.
Yes.
We still have a time limit, right?
Yeah.
We still have what?
We have a time limit as to how long people can,
Well, if they're on the agenda, we don't, but if they're not on the agenda, we have the time limit. So
Lynette, I'm asking you to unmute. Can you unmute? There we go. Okay.
there. Okay, Lynette, you're on. Remember, we will not respond, but we will listen and take note.
Okay, and I really appreciate that. I appreciate you guys' time because I know you guys are really busy. And that's kind of what I was going to do, is let you hear me out and then give you a chance to respond to me in email or whatever would be convenient. What I'd like to address tonight is that Colorado is one of the very few states that do not require children to learn about sexual education. Local laws, which means the district, chooses the curriculum. And if they choose to teach sex education, this means sexual education in our district is an elective class. According to the House Bill 132, this states that if our district is going to teach sexual education, they are required to first inform the parents of what they will teach, so that we have the knowledge and the right to be able to assist with curriculum. It also states they must have 9 representatives of mixed diversity, diverse community members to oversee the curriculum. So far, to parents' knowledge, none of that has happened. We feel that it's been overstepped. The boundaries have been overstepped, and they're trying to take over our children. At this time, under the Transparency Act, I am requesting the list of the 9 people. Some of us also feel that our taxpayer spending budget is being grossly abused. You invest time, money, youth groups, social school counselors, and multiple individuals to head up and facilitate each group for one elective class. A lot of our valuable elective classes has been cut from the curriculum without our voices being heard and without a chance of us coming to a resolution to save them. What happened to shop, auto mechanics, accounting, driver's ed, sports equipment? I've been told we can't afford it. It's not in the budget. However, we can afford to pay these groups to come in, teach things like systematic racism, Black Lives Matter curriculum. We can afford $47,000 on a school vehicle. Unless it's a bus, couldn't have we instead bought an affordable, dependable vehicle and applied the other remaining $10,000 to $30,000 to our children. We can afford to pay approximately $10,000 and 1.5 positions to AmeriCorps and bring unsafe and unknown people into our community and around our children. However, we cannot teach them real life skills. We can't teach them to drive a car. We can afford multiple youth groups, all focusing on one thing, and that's to confuse our children about something they shouldn't be worried about at this age, sexuality. But we can't afford to teach them to build something, fix their car, balance their checkbook, or do their taxes. Nor can we put any money towards school supplies or repairs. We can teach you guys are teaching our children discrimination and how to hate each other because of our differences. But we cannot teach them history and unity. If you take history out of our schools, it is doomed to repeat itself. We cannot have more. Can't we have more than one elective class to bring our children together? Teach sexual ed, but not sexuality. Let the parents be part of the curriculum. By pushing the lunch bunch, you are focusing on one group of children, which each and every one of our students are amazing people. Why are their talents and identities being ignored? Why is the Rainbow Group, Lunch Bunch, the only group that doesn't have to be responsible for their own fundraising? Shouldn't at least half of this group activity be paid for by the parents involved in this group, just like the other groups in school? And so much time and effort has been put into this group and it's running under an elective class. Shouldn't it be listed on the elective class courses available at enrollment? Also, how can you have a sexuality group if you have no approved and regulated sexual education classes? Why is the youth group being allowed to take over the role of obtaining medical and mental help for our children? Why are this group being handled? Why isn't it being handled in the way all other groups are? Why can't parents participate in this group? And why are the permission slips so hard to obtain when they are requested? Where's the transparency? Why have, I'm sorry, I have kind of a cold, so. Where is the transparency in this that the other groups have, activities and sports and such? Why is this group seem private and secretive? Why are we allowing one certain group of children to have special lunches catered to them while we have so many children going without or less because the parents can't or won't provide it? Why can't we have an anti-bully group? Every child at one time or another is getting bullied, has been bullied, or will be bullied. Why can't we do something different, like once a month? Why can't we have a monthly dance, a community cleanup, costume balls, food drives? Our mayor wants unity. Why can't we ask him for permission for the children to come and draw pictures on the sidewalks of the city hall or the parks with chalk? To make it expressive art. no hate words, no disrespect. And I bet you our law enforcement officers would give permission for the children to do that on their sidewalks too, just like they did at the hospital. What about groups that give back to our community and draw the attention to our children that they so desperately deserve? I'm not denying that the groups are not valuable resources, nor am I saying they don't have a place in our school. However, they should not overrun our school. What I'm saying is I feel that we've lost sight of educating our children. You've slid right past positive reinforcement and slammed into the wall of grooming on this. You have absolutely no transparency with these groups. You have not provided us the knowledge of the annual outcomes of these services provided by this group, nor have we no knowledge of the reasoning behind this group in a group of children this young. We have been denied the knowledge of what was wrote to obtain the grant money, nor do we know the 9 representatives and what their diversity of them are. So in closing, I will part with what I feel is most important question, and I feel deserves an answer that myself, every parent, every taxpayer deserves to have, and how I feel it is going. What are you grooming our children for? And if you are not grooming them, why is it being conveyed to us parents as such? And what can be done to resolve this issue so we can achieve our one mutual goal, and that is the educational welfare of our children. I took the liberty of linking all the websites of the laws and everything, and I emailed them all to you. So that way it would save you guys some research.
Thank you, Lynette. You gave us some food for thought, and this will definitely be discussed. Thank you. I'm going to call Mr. Hicks.
Thank you, Lynette.
I will try to hold it up so everybody can hear it. Yes, is this Melvin Hicks residence? Okay, this is Sherry Wright with the RE1 School Board. And I'm going to put you up to my speaker, and hopefully everybody will be able to hear you. So if you would like to address the board, then you're. Okay, Mr. Hicks, we discussed this with our lawyer, and she told us that we do not have any jurisdiction over this, that it does have to go to the county commissioners. Yes, sir. All right, thank you. Bye. Did everybody hear that?
No.
I mostly just heard you.
No.
I
heard
held
what
it
you
up,
said.
but he didn't. He just said that he was going to take it up with the county commissioners, and thank you for our trouble. So,
Okay.
all right. Is there anybody else that would like to address the board? At this point, everything is typed in because these two put their name on is the only reason that they got to talk. I would like to. Stacy, are you still
Yes,
on?
I am.
You have brought up District D to me 2 or 3 times because you're District D. Is that correct?
Uh-huh. Yes.
And you've asked me why they could not vote. And I will clarify that one more time. It is a federal mandate. It is not our choice.
Correct.
It because Toyac is a sovereign nation. They are considered a special district, and the people in your part of the town, we have to have it that way due to population. Am I correct, Lori?
You are, and it was several years ago that it was actually redistrict.
Yes, it was back
include
in
more of-
the late 80s, maybe.
Mhm.
So,
But it does go by population. So in fact, we
so-
have a specific policy that is tied directly around District D2.
yeah.
That we
Well,
definitely
and we can't
pay this
do
interest in.
anything. They have to challenge federal to do anything about that.
Right. Yeah. It was a lawsuit that the tribe brought against the school district,
Yes.
and we have to include them, and it has to be in that, and that it's written that way.
Right.
Right.
And I
Cut
still
hair
visit
versus
with the lawyer
Montezuma.
that was involved in that, and he said there was nothing that he could do, even though the district thought about challenging it, and he said no, that it was a federal mandate and we needed to leave it alone. So just wanting to address that because that has popped up so many times in different
I have that.
conversations.
I have that case file, Sherry, if anybody wants to read it at any time. The cut hair
Okay.
versus Montezuma-Cortez.
Do you mind typing it into the chat so people can refer to it if they need it?
What I can do is I can, I'll text Lori and have her type it in because I'm only on audio tonight. I
Oh,
don't
that's
have
right, that's
the
right.
Zoom app, but
You know, we
I'd
might
be
just,
glad to do that.
who said that, Lori?
Lori, I can type.
And
I'll send
you
it to
know,
Lori
if
right
Carol
now and
wants
she
to,
can type it in.
if Carol
Very
wants to put it on
educational.
the website, she can. So it's just best that everybody understands that our hands are tied as a school district. We have, I was at one time a District D representative, but because of population, I was moved. So, okay. Anything else? Okay, let's move to action items, the consent calendar. Do I hear a motion to accept the consent calendar?
So move.
I make a motion.
to approve the consent calendar.
Who was that, Tammy?
Yep.
And Chris, did you second it?
I can, yes.
Okay.
I'll second it.
I just heard your voice, so. Okay, Tammy made the motion. It was seconded by Chris. Is there any discussion? I have one. When we updated our consent calendar that Phyllis sent out, why? Has he been a teacher in Cortez before?
I can actually answer that. He's been a teacher at SWOS, the alternative high.
And so does that clarify as being a district teacher? I'm looking at the step is what I'm looking at.
Yeah. In my assumption it does, since SWOS
Okay.
is a district charter.
Okay,
District
well,
authorizes.
I agree with you on that, but I wanted to just clarify it. So is there any more discussion? Okay, call for the question.
Sherry Wright, Sherry Noyes,
Aye.
Jack Schoenenmeyer,
Aye.
Tammy Hooton,
Aye.
Lance McDaniel,
Aye.
Chris Flaherty,
Aye.
and Stacy Hall.
I have to abstain on that one.
Okay, yes, you do. Next time, please say it during the motion. Before I make-
Okay.
Okay, resolution to support the suspending state assessments for 2021 school year. We have Jack, do you have your resolution?
Yeah, I think I've got it here, right. Okay, whereas the Board of Education, Montezuma County, Cortez School District RE1 believes the school should be held accountable for to the public for providing rigorous and effective academic program to this district students, and whereas the board is dedicated to protecting the health and safety of all students, staff, and visitors to district schools, and to that end adhering to the recommendations and guidelines set forth by the Center for Disease Control, the Colorado Governor's Office, Montezuma County Health Department, and the Colorado Department of Education related to controlling the spread of COVID-19 pandemic. And whereas the pandemic has created unforeseeable obstacles to student learning, including access to teachers, materials, and support services provided by the district, has resulted in numerous disruptions to school and academic success of students. And whereas the pandemic has made instruction and learning eminently more difficult in both 2019, 2020, and the 2021 school year, and whereas the state has properly made the health and safety of all students and staff a priority during the pandemic, and whereas the mental health of students and staff have been seriously and negatively impacted by the stress and concerns related to the pandemic, and would be unnecessarily exacerbated by mandatory high-stakes assessment this spring, particularly in light of the academic difficulties teachers and students are already facing due to the pandemic, and whereas the CDC correctly suspended state-level assessments for the 2019-2020 school year due to the difficulties school districts, school staff, and students faced, including the cessation of in-person learning due to the pandemic. And whereas disruptions to the in-person learning have continued for the majority of the 2021 school year for the district across Colorado, and the services they provide have been severely disrupted due to the pandemic during the 2021 school year. And whereas the board believes that high-stakes standardized assessment this spring would fail to falsely assess students' achievement and growth given the pandemic's disruption to education, and would result in a loss of instructional time just as the students are finally able to return to in-person learning throughout Colorado at a critical moment in the students' education. And whereas we continue to value our local interim assessments that give actionable and immediate data to inform instruction, intervention, and learning loss, these interim assessments and data could be used as data points for students' academic growth during this critical time. And whereas the district believes that the CDE's decision to suspend assessments for the 2019-2020 school year was in the best interest of students, schools, and school districts, suspension of state assessments for the 2020-2021 school year is in the best interest of students, schools, and districts. Now therefore be it resolved that the board hereby supports and recommends that CDE suspend state assessments for the 2020-2021 school year. Adopted and approved this day, 2021.
Thank you. That was long. Do I hear a motion to accept this resolution?
So moved.
So moved.
Okay, Chris made the motion, seconded by Tammy, I believe. Any discussion?
I can go ahead and start, and then Tammy can chime in. So this is a conversation that Tammy and I had about this CASB resolution. And this falls in line to CEA case, CASB, everyone making the recommendation that the state assessments be waived this year, as they have said that there will not be, it'll basically be a hold harmless year as far as accreditation. And as a district, we have continued doing our interim assessments and our weekly form assessments. So we have had assessments that drive instruction even through the chaos. The teachers have been very diligent with this. And so basically this reinforces from the board level the need to not administer these state assessments for this year, and that the teachers need the time to teach. So Tammy, what else would you like to add?
I just want to reiterate, excuse me, what Lori just said as our conversation, because this was a hot topic in the LRC, the Legislative Resolution Committee. Just the fact that this is a state assessment that shows how well our kids are doing nationwide. And throughout the nation, there has been inequity of in-school person and some that have not been in person. So again, we'd be looking at apples and oranges. And our district has done our internal series of testing. So since this, we just don't need to add this additional stress to our staff, our teachers, our students. It just wouldn't be, it would be detrimental if we tried to do this. So I just support your board's vote to accept this resolution as read for the factors that were presented in the resolution.
When I had my meeting with the Speaker of the House, he asked that we send to the Senate what our assessments, how we're doing our assessments, and Casby said that they had already done that. And when I spoke to Lori, she said yes, that Casby had reached out to her and she sent the information in. So they know, the Congress knows that we are doing it. So any more discussion, questions?
Nope, I was just going to ask about, and Lori answered that question about how we're monitoring our students' growth.
All right. We had a whole packet
Well,
of
we saw the numbers
information.
last meeting too.
So, and then Tammy, you mentioned that we need to contact people about this, if we pass this, correct?
Yes. I did, and I'll definitely get that information out either later tonight or early in the morning, just so we can have.
Got it in our packet, didn't we? Didn't we get in our packet? Let me look and see if there's numbers in there, because we got a lot of it.
I have an email
This
that
one,
I
the
can just.
assessment timeout, can't see it. Assessment timeout. That has a lot of that information in there.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it came from Tammy. So,
It did this, yeah.
okay. All right, any more discussion? Okay, call for the question.
Terry Wright,
Aye.
Sherry Noyes,
Aye.
Jack Schunenmeyer,
Aye.
Tammy Hooton,
Aye.
Lance McDaniel,
Aye.
Chris Flaherty,
Aye.
and Stacy Hall.
aye.
Okay. Next on our agenda is approval of the MCHS Student Success Coordinator position. This is our RISE, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to accept this?
I make a motion to accept this.
Do I hear a second?
I will second it.
Okay. Motion made by Stacy, seconded by Sherry. Any discussion?
No,
The sooner we get this going, I think the better off our kids are going to be. So I'm excited about this.
And with the RISE grant, the RISE grant will be paying for approximately 2 years.
Yeah. Jeanette said 18 months.
Which is 18 months. So that's very exciting. And I'm really excited for the board to hear the plan and moving forward. And I'll try to get that scheduled for the next board meeting, because it's the right work for
Awesome.
and it's so exciting. So
What I've been reading, I'm excited.
and I just like to acknowledge again the staff that worked on this grant. It was a very competitive grant, and we were awarded it, so.
So that was Jeanette and Carol and you?
No, actually, all I did was proof it. Eric Chandler elicited feedback too, and I'm trying to think, is there anyone else? Carol and Jeanette?
And Angie, we had a part in it,
And
so.
Angie.
Well, thank you to everybody. Good work. Thank you. Any more discussion? Okay, call for the question.
Sherry Wright,
Aye.
Sherry Noyes,
Aye.
Jack Schunenmeyer,
Aye.
Tammy Hooten,
Aye.
Lance McDaniel,
Aye.
Chris Flaherty,
Aye.
and Stacy Hall.
Aye.
Okay, next on our agenda, approve correction to transportation and pair of salary schedules. I need to hear a motion before we discuss.
I'm gonna have to abstain on this one also.
Okay, thank you.
I make a
So
motion
moved.
to approve. Go ahead, Chris.
Sorry, I just said, if you want to, I was just going to say so moved, but if you want to say the whole thing, that's
I'll just second it.
more than adequate.
Chris made the motion, Tammy seconded. Discussion.
So-
I just have a quick question, and it's probably been on there before, but I'm just now noticing this.
Okay.
It says shop foreman, an additional 10% of salary. Do we have a shop foreman?
We do. Shop foreman is Jack.
Okay.
He is over the whole garage, transportation garage part. So
The garage part. Okay.
it's for additional responsibilities. And the reason why we have these 2 additional pages is the board had voted on the revisions to the salary schedules in January to reflect the increase in minimum wage. And these 2 pages were incorrect. So they were corrected, and then we're bringing them back to the board for approval.
Okay. Any more discussion?
Nope.
Okay, let's call for the question.
Sherry Wright, Sherry Noyes,
Aye.
Jack Schunenmeyer,
Aye.
Tammy Hooten,
Aye.
Lance McDaniel,
Aye.
Chris Flaherty,
Aye.
and Stacy Hall. Oh, I'm sorry, Stacy abstained.
Yes. This was para, correct?
It was what, Sherry?
Para? It wasn't substitutes, correct?
Correct.
Oh,
correct.
I'm sorry. I thought I had to abstain on all salaries, so I guess I don't have to abstain.
No, only if you.
Okay.
I was looking at going, why is she abstaining? But no, you if it's a direct family member that you're voting on.
All right.
So, in your case, teacher and coach, is that correct?
Nurse and coach.
Nurse and coach. Okay. So when those 2 salaries come up, you need to abstain on those.
Okay.
If you have somebody that's substituting, then you need to abstain on that.
Okay.
Okay.
So if I'm correct, then I'll count Stacy.
All
as
right.
yes.
Supplemental budget.
Yes.
She said yes, finally. We have to dig it out of her. Supplemental budget, Johnson O'Malley, $30,000. That's
Okay.
the JOM. Okay.
Right. Okay. This is the source of revenue for this is the Ute Mountain Education Department, and there are basically 5 categories, each of $6,000 a piece, which makes it a total of $30,000, and that's let's see. Okay. So it's basically supplies and material. And so be it resolved by the Board of Education, the school district number RE1, Montezuma County, that the amount of $30,000 as shown above be appropriated to the 229 other designated fund grants for the program year beginning July the 1st, 2020 and ending June the 30th, 2021.
Do I hear a motion for this?
I will move. Sherry will move to approve the colors. I've lost my spot here. The JLM Johnson O'Malley supplemental funds in the amount of $30,000 to be distributed, $6,000 to each school.
I hear a second. Motion made by Sherry, seconded by Stacy. Discussion.
So Kyle, would you like to weigh in on this?
Yes, please.
All right, yeah, so good evening, board members. These were funds actually received by each school. There's a $6,000 check. This money comes here from the Ute Mountain Tribe, and the Johnson O'Malley funds are specific. It's a specific grant for our Native American students within each school. So again, this is just the funding changes every year, kind of based on the federal overall grant at the federal level, and then depending on how many students we have. So again, this is just a grant that we typically probably expect to receive every year. The amount may be a little bit different, but it's just to supplement our Native American kids in our district.
Okay. Lori, do you know how we're going to be doing this so that it goes to our Native Americans?
The schools know the criteria, and they're very good about allocating it that way. You know, what really did hit us hard is these funds could be used for students' activities and sports. And had such a decrease in funding that we haven't been able to use the funds like we used to in those areas.
Yeah, several years ago, we used to get a lot of money for that, and those kids were able to do it. What they have to have, I worked with this when I was working, is those students have to supply their CIB to every school. And the schools are really good about passing those on as the kids move on from Mesa to the middle school to the high school. And those gals work really diligently with that stuff and keep those. And those CIB numbers are confidential, and those gals do a really good job of keeping those numbers in a confidential file, but being able to pass them on. So parents don't have to supply those every year for those kids. So they do a great job.
Good.
And it goes directly to the students, whether it's in supplies or whatever they deem, or it may even be some Native American literature. I'm sure that it does go directly to our Native American students.
Okay, that is good. Thank you. Any more discussion? Okay, call for the question.
Sherry Wright,
Aye.
Sherry Noyes,
Aye.
Jack Schoenenmeyer,
Aye.
Tammy Hooten,
Aye.
Lance McDaniel,
Aye.
Chris Flaherty,
Aye.
and Stacy Hall.
Aye.
Okay, the next one is our capital reserve resolution for $10,000.
Okay, this is a exterior campus lighting. It's a health and safety issue. The rationale for the request: exterior lighting needed for campus safety. Purchase fixtures will be installed in-house. The business office confirmed that funds are available. The project has been coordinated with maintenance and IT departments. and approved by Jamie Harkness on 2/12/2021, whereas the administration has need for an additional $10,000 to purchase exterior light fixtures for our building and campuses. Now therefore be it resolved that $10,000 is authorized for expenditures from the Capital Reserve Fund.
Your motion to accept this?
I make a motion to accept this.
Second.
Motion made by Stacy, seconded by Tammy. This is open for discussion. Jamie talked about this in his report. So
Correct.
does anybody have any questions for Jamie? I'd say you covered it well, Jamie. Let's call for the question.
Sherry
Thank
Wright,
you, Board.
Aye.
Sherry Noyes,
Aye.
Jack Schunenmeyer,
Aye.
Tammy Hooton,
Aye.
Lance McDaniel,
Aye.
Chris Flaherty,
Aye.
and Stacy Hall.
Aye.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank
You're
you,
welcome.
Jamie, for looking into that. I really appreciated that.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Stacy.
I've walked
Thank
out
you, Board.
in time at night and been a little shaky, so thank you.
Now that we're thinking about it, Downey likely needs lights as well, admin.
Yes.
We'll do that.
Yeah.
We
that's
had
probably
one
true.
on the south side that we added several years ago because it's just so dark, but we can definitely look and see if it be a larger one or any other areas,
Yeah,
because it is very dark when you leave at night.
Especially your parking
Yeah.
lot. Your parking lot is very dark.
yeah.
Oh.
We'll put that one on the list.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Hey, policy adoption, first reading. GB, GG, do you want to do this in a group? It's all
Yes.
sick leave. Okay. GBGG, GBGH, GBGJ, GBGL, GBGM. Do I hear a motion?
I move they be approved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, motion made by Jack, seconded by Tammy. We discussed this some at our last meeting. Lots of changes. But they're
And-
recommended, correct,
Yeah.
Carol? Isn't that what you said? That
And we will need to refine it, given the discussion we'll have under sick leave policies. And for
Right.
the first reading, the board approves the first reading, and then we will take them back and make the additional revisions as needed. So there will be some changes coming back for the second reading. The board will be looking at for consideration.
okay. You might want to look at staff discretionary leave and different things. We're going to be, read it, please, so that we know that what we're voting on. You don't wonder about it later.
The staff sick leave and the staff discretionary will be the significant ones that will have changes given our discussion tonight.
Right. Okay. Any discussion?
And yeah, I have a question. I still feel like we're leaving out our 11-month people. We talk about our 10-month people and our 12-month people, but we have a handful of people that are 11-month people, and I think that they're still not being compensated as fairly as the others are for working another month longer.
I do know that we have that down with the HR department to look at that, Stacy.
Okay.
And what you're saying, because I was 11-month for several years, and there is kind of a discrepancy between the 10-month and the 12-month. If you're 11-month, that doesn't quite make it equitable. So
Yeah.
we will be looking at that.
And then are we still looking at the paying out 60 versus 80 and
That's on our discussion.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay,
Yeah, we'll be discussing that.
okay.
Okay, any more discussion? Call for the question.
Sherry Wright,
Aye.
Sherry Noyes,
Aye.
Jack Schunenmeyer,
Aye.
Tammy Hooten,
Aye.
Lance McDaniel,
Aye.
Chris Flaherty,
Aye.
and Stacy Hall.
Aye.
Okay. We're moving right along. We're down to discussion items. Sick leave policy update. Laura, you're the, did you want to start this or did you want Kyle to?
I'll just give a little bit of background and then let Kyle talk about the fiscal implications, which was also included in your board packet.
Right.
The previous board meeting, there had been a request from CEA to extend the carryover and payout from 66 leave days to 80. And so at the last board meeting, the board had asked to see what the fiscal analysis would be. And so Kyle did a really nice job and we met on that. And so that's what we like to present tonight. And then per the discussion of the board, then we will have that reflected in the policy coming back for the second reading in March. So Kyle, would you like to go over the Excel sheet, please?
All right, so board members, what I put together was a sick pay analysis, just kind of showing a summary of what it would cost the district potentially to move from paying out 60 accrued sick day leave days to 80 days. So it's kind of hard to give you a definite number because every year we have a different number of people retiring or leaving the district. So I wanted to give you just kind of the raw data from a few different angles and then give you my perspective on what it would cost the district. So we pay out at the pay rate of sub pay, which is $96. So every sick day that we pay out, regardless of where they're at, that's the rate they get paid. And then because it's a benefit, like we're paying them for a day, we have to incorporate benefits into that. So any anything like that has to be added to that. And when you're looking at these numbers, the liability we're talking about, we really have to look at worst case scenarios because we have to budget and prepare for those things. So what I've done is I kind of broke it down in the last 4 years of what we've actually paid out. And so as you can see, it's kind of varied. And I can also tell you the number of people that are paid out on a given year is varied as well. So it's not really information that's useful to make a decision. It's anywhere from 10 to 30 people for those 4 years, and those amounts are varying drastically there. Another thing that I wanted to point out was how many staff members we have maxed out currently at a given year, and then how many staff members we have in that 50-hour range, which is, you know what I mean, kind of coming up on 60 hours as well. And one of the things that I noticed was the number of staff that are maxed out at 60 has been dropping every year since 2017, but the number of staff with 50 hours plus has been growing. So it's to be expected. There's more people that are going to be retiring or looking to gain from if we move this from 60 to 80. And so essentially at the bottom, what I did is kind of break down what we would have to anticipate. So worst case scenario is if we had a 20 employees that had maxed out at 80,000 or 80 days, excuse me. It's essentially $60,000 extra a year we would have to budget just in case worst case happens and the majority of people retire over that have more than 50 hours going forward. So the next 3 or 4 years, we would have to anticipate budgeting anywhere from 60,000 plus just to make sure we have it. And it's not to say it's going to be spent every year, but again, it's a liability that we have to cover because it's a benefit we're saying we offer. My summary, I guess my recommendation is it again, it's approximately $60,000 extra a year we have to look at. And to me, it's kind of a lot of money that's not a benefit that can be given to everyone, right? There's only so many people that can benefit from this. So again, it's good information, and it's definitely something that would benefit some people, but it's a cost to the district, and it's something we have to budget for every year, knowing that we're probably not going to pay it out. So I stand for any questions you have there. Sorry.
I was just going to say, so is that something that you would just say you didn't use it, or you didn't use all of it, that you could just roll over to the next year? Or would that just go back
Right.
into?
Exactly. It would be something to that effect, but it would be every year we would have to budget that money at the max, assuming the worst. Or else I would have to come back to you later requesting emergency funds to cover these things if it was a unforeseen year.
Kyle,
Sherry?
oh, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to explain that, Sherry, generally, when I taught school, okay, so it's been quite a while, we would get 10 days. And if we didn't use them, if we used 5 of them, then the next year we would get 15 days. Or if we didn't use any of them, we'd get 20. So it just keep rolling over until, and mine was 60 days. And when I hit 60 days, I quit being turned over. I could accumulate 10, and I did. If I would have counted them, I probably would have had like 80 or 90 sick days when I retired. But I only had 60 because that was the maximum.
Okay, well, I was actually questioning more on the money side of it. So say we only used 20,000 that year.
Okay.
Would that 40 stay in that, roll over into that budget for next year, where we would only have to come up with, not as much each year? Or would it just go back in and we would reevaluate every year?
This would be $60,000 additional to what we already carry as a liability. So exactly what you said. If we didn't use it, we just carry it. It rolls into our overall carryover, and then we rebudget the next year saying, okay, we got to put this money aside.
Okay.
That's.
First of all, the CEA, did they recommend this thinking, or is their thought process that more teachers would stick around, we'd have less teachers leaving and retiring early, and thus having not to train so many people? Do you follow what I'm saying, Lori?
I do, and I'm trying to accurately reflect the conversation. I believe it centered more around there's other districts that allow a higher carryover than the 60 days. And it would be a retention to know that staff can carry over the 80 days and then ultimately be paid out for that with retiring from the district.
Okay, thank you. And Kyle, those numbers are just the numbers for the sick leave. They wouldn't include, like, say, the intangible benefits of having a teacher have 80 sick leave days, like we've had to pay for less substitutes, or they were healthy and didn't have a lot of insurance costs, or that sort of thing, right? We're just talking numbers. I mean, easy, simple numbers. We're not adding any of that intangible benefits as well. Is that right?
So this number includes those benefits as well. That it does include those benefits.
And I would just like to point out too, for the board, is the 60,000 is in addition to the cost of a step that we incur every year for staff, because the last thing we want to do is to freeze steps. So just realize that
right
to that reoccurring cost.
So basically, you're saying that we're going to have to choose between a step or 80 days.
No, I'm just pointing out that it would be on top of the money that we have to allocate every year to ensure that we have the step just in moving forward.
Okay.
Because that is our largest reoccurring cost that comes forward, besides obviously our 24% in benefits every single year.
Okay.
Take into consideration.
I know at one point in time in one of the discussions, I think we talked about changing the policy to letting teachers and staff go up to 80 days, but only paying them for 60 days when they retired. And that would not cost our district any more money. Is that, I mean, any more than what we're paying now?
They
But
let them
still,
accrue
that
80
you know,
days, but we only pay them 60.
right. Letting them carry up to 80 days.
Then if they had a family emergency, they'd have 80 days instead of 60.
Right.
They have to put the sick bank.
Right. And then still paying them for the 60 days. I know some districts, you know, they let their employees go up to over 100 days, and then they take away X amount of days to go down to whatever they pay out out of retirement.
I wonder if that encourages people to use it if they don't get paid out. I mean, that's just a question
I'm sure it does, but you know, I mean, in reality, we have teachers that they're all professionals, and we all know it's a whole lot more work as a teacher to be gone out of the classroom than it is to not come to work, because it's double the work.
Yes, it is.
For teachers. I mean, I think teachers are some of the people that come to work more often when they're sick than any other profession, because they have to do double the work and
It's
still
hard to
be
sit
sick.
down and write lesson plans for somebody to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
well, and that's why I'm excited about the discretionary days option.
Yeah.
For staff, because then, you know, you have staff that never take any days, and
right.
they should, and
Absolutely.
you have others that, you know,
Yeah.
take.
Yeah.
So,
and I think that you'll have that no matter what. And
yes.
And those issues can be addressed at the team leader, at the building leader level, where those issues can be addressed better.
Well, I think it's worth thinking about.
Yeah.
Lori, do you need guidance on this, or?
yes, please, because then we'll incorporate what the board decides tonight into the policy and bring the policy back for a second reading at the March board meeting.
So even though it's a consensus, we cannot vote, but we can give her a nod.
Mhm.
So
You'll be voting
we
on
have
the
60
policy.
policy, yeah. So board, what do you think? Do you want to do 60 or 70 or 80?
Well, you know, I tend to agree with Stacy on the, you know, it's a known that they're going to get the 60 hours for sure. Most of them that are probably going to be leaving or retiring that have that many hours are probably going to have been with the district for quite some time, and maybe even just have some other issues that they may think, okay, I've got a few extra days that if something were to happen, you know, but then I could still get my 60 hours as well. I don't know if going the 70 is like a meet in the middle kind of a thing. If they're wanting 80 and we've got 60, meet them in the middle with the 70. That's just kind of, I mean, that's still just something to really think on, but that's some, you know, I don't know.
Worst case scenario is 20. But once and I hate to say it this way, but once that 20 retire, we've got some really young ones coming in to take their place. And their steps won't be as high as the ones retiring. So is that going to balance it out? I'm just throwing out ideas.
No, that's a thoughtful
Lori needs to
idea.
look. So.
And
What is
that's
that?
true. But I mean, I'm looking down the road. It's always easier to give than take away. And then when you have those younger, you know, say in 30 years, those younger people that come in, you got that many coming in and you've already said 60 or 80. And then now you're back at your worst case scenario again.
Yep.
So, you know, it's.
Kyle, are you still there?
Yes.
Can you kind of waive the odds on the steps and the new ones versus the old ones leaving? And are we going to be, is it going to cost us a true 60,000 if we're looking at new people coming in with lower steps? You see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying. I think without really looking at the numbers and just trying to give you my best guesstimate, I don't think it's going to be 60,000 every year. I think you're right. And I think we're about to get a lot more younger staff into the pool. And I think that helps on various fronts, including our insurance fund. However, it's still something we definitely have to assume it's $60,000 every year from my perspective, on my lens, on my side. That I have to plan for that.
Yes, and I'm thankful that you do. So,
Okay.
Lori,
Carol, is there anything you'd like to weigh in on since this is HR?
Yeah, that was my next question.
Yeah, I think what we're looking at with both of these options, and both the potential of moving the maximum accrued hours that can be paid out to the 70 or 80, and then also the other option that Lori referenced, which is moving potentially some sick days to discretionary days for all staff, and allowing them to, if they don't take those, be able to, you know, get those refunded to them at the end of each contract year. I think both of these are different ways of thinking about honoring staff and valuing and promoting retention. And I think, you know, they both have benefits, definitely. They both have costs, definitely. And so I think we were just trying to think of different ways to demonstrate to staff that we do honor them and we do really appreciate all the work that they're doing, and that we do want to retain them. And so, you know, I think we haven't talked much about the option of the discretionary days, but I think the benefits of that is that it does manage to incentivize and honor all staff every year. And I also, you know, the proposal we're talking about now that Kyle put out there is also a way to really honor our most long-term staff, which is also very valuable as well. So I think they're both valuable. They both have benefits in different ways, and they both have costs in different ways. And so I think it's helpful to think through, you know, how do we best invest the limited money that we have over the long term in supporting our staff, honoring them and retaining them, while of course, obviously long term looking to raise salaries as well.
Lori, you know, when we had the freeze, some of our staff lost some steps. This could be a way of honoring their dedication.
And reinstating a step instead.
Well, I'm just throwing out ideas. I'm just,
yeah.
I can just kind of weigh in as far as kind of what we do with my company, with, you know, the professionals that we have, and we just have our vacation days, and then we have a bulk of option hours. And those option hours have to be weighed out carefully, right? Because if you use them for sick, if you're sick, if you want to use them for more personal time off, you use them. for at your discretion, because, you know, like Stacy said earlier, everybody's a professional. They know what's ultimately best, the right choice, the right decision to do, they're going to make it. But, you know, and if they were to abuse those option hours, then, and say they were sick, they didn't have those at their disposal, then would be on them. Plus, you also have administration overseeing any type of abuse or excessive absentees and unscheduled unscheduled absences. That's just kind of what we do here. It's just not really an idea, but just another perspective. For me, I can't even really say what's right or what's wrong for teachers in the teachers union, you know, in the district. It would be kind of overstepping for me personally.
Well, you know, and we've had the discussion about the discretionary days and converting a few sick leave to that, which I think will really benefit the teachers that are in the mid area, like Carol was, you know, in their mid-career. And then, you know, possibly doing like what Sherry Noyes had recommended, and maybe, you know, honoring a portion of that, say like the 70 days, which would cut the 60,000 down to half.
Right.
And then
And I
that
would
way
also-
you would be meeting both mid-career and then honoring end of career for the teachers who have stayed in the district for those years.
And it would also take into account if we did decide to move with the discretionary days, I think sick days would go down to 8 days a year. And so that kind of helps out on the accrued front of, they're not accruing 10 a year, they're only accruing 8. So it kind of levels that outside that side too.
I like that. Anybody else want to chime in?
That seems reasonable to me.
Tammy?
Yeah, I think it's reasonable to do the 70 hours and have the 8 sick days and the discretionary days. I think that would really show our staff and teachers that we value them.
Lance?
Well, I can definitely tell you they're going to be very excited over the discretionary days. This has been a conversation, as you know, for many
It's been
years.
an ongoing discussion for quite a while, even when I was teaching. Lance, how do you feel?
Well, I would prefer giving the teachers and the 80 days. That's my thought. I do like the discretionary days. I think there's a benefit as far as retention goes if we up it to 80. And that's my thought, but certainly 70 is better than nothing. So, or better than 60.
Tammy, Sherry, are you still on?
Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, that I would say that was fair. And with that being said though, too, I'd still like to, work on our salaries back for those teachers that are still with us that have lost some steps.
Right.
Yeah.
Stacy, have you chimed in yet?
I had to step away. I had to help my mom, so I didn't.
Okay.
Really...
We're talking about 70 and 8 sick leaves, and the rest are discretionary.
70. So we'll pay out a retiree 70 days.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
And then everybody will get 8 discretionary days a
8
year.
sick days. Sick days.
It would be 8 6 days and then 4 discretionary days, because we would also convert the personal days into discretionary days.
Okay. All right. I like that. I think that shows that we're treating everyone
Chris is-
equally and like professionals that they are.
They have a right to be treated professionally.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Chris, how do you feel?
Yeah, I agree with it. I think it's
Okay.
Fair.
Okay, Lori, do you have the information you need to move forward?
I do, and so we will make the revisions and bring it back to the board and policy at the March board meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle, for the numbers.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you, board.
Okay, update on plat fees. Lori, did you want to do this or do you want me to have Jack? I don't think Jack's prepared, but he's better with numbers than I am.
Yeah.
No, I'm not prepared.
I know. I cannot remember, and I was looking through my notes. What percentage did she say that we could charge for that?
It was significant higher than what we are currently charging.
It seems like it was
The percentage.
10% of the value. Am I correct or no?
So it wouldn't be a
Everybody
flat fee.
froze
It would,
except me.
I'm sorry.
Seems like it was about an order of magnitude. It was
Yeah, it was.
considerably more.
Yeah.
With property and then what kind of housing you had, and then it graduated up. So that was something that we would need to look at when we look at the resolution, the revision of the resolution, and make it.
But I mean, we should get that information from Kristen and then be able to comment on it.
So just save it for next month when we discuss it as an action item.
I think so, and then we can do the resolution and then the discussion on what the fees would actually be, having them more competitive.
Okay. And moving right along, 2021 proposed district administration plan.
Okay, and I think, board, instead of this being a proposed plan, this is a very, very draft plan, just to kind of give you insight to a thought process that is going on. I haven't necessarily, ran this deeply by the cabinet administrators or the school administrators too, but just to let you see as far as categorically some of the thoughts in this. If you look at it, you will notice that the assistant superintendent would go underneath the curriculum and instruction. And then there would be a director of curriculum instruction, or we have the title of it right now, the director of student support services, that would be taking a lot of the instructional side and supervising it to free up the assistant superintendent. And then we would have Kyle's position, which would be the executive director of finance. And the reason why the individual departments aren't ferreted out like they have been traditionally in the past is Kyle will be taking over the grants fiscal manager side. And this is a change that we've been talking about for the last several years, because it's getting where the federal and state grants are working so closely with the general fund. And the superintendent and the finance director have always been responsible for the grant side as well, and the federal dollar side, as well as the general fund. And Kyle has experience with this, and he is more than willing to take this over. So he would definitely have supervision of all the funding in the district. And so with that actually does fill his position. I don't believe it overloads it, but it definitely fills the position in its entirety. And then just a second, Kyle, I'll let you weigh in. And then have the operational side all underneath one specific district administrator to oversee and move forward with. And then obviously you'll have the superintendent. So all of this would be going more in its entirety, not only who they supervise, but what their roles and responsibilities would be in an organizational chart that would come before the board knowing that there are revisions once I started eliciting feedback from other people and obviously the board, prior to the organizational chart that will be coming in March. Now, the board, I had, sent out a timeline as far as, the hiring for these high-level district positions that did have a pre-screening and have the finalists ready for the incoming superintendent since they're seated in early May. But this is where I need to have, the board's feedback on what they want that to look like. I completely support having the incoming superintendent pick their cabinet, but what does the board want that to look like? Do you want just to have the applicants screened and have them ready for the incoming superintendent, and when they're officially hired by the board in early May, then have them just do one interview? Originally I had talked about doing a pre-screening interview, but we can definitely have the applicants ready and for review for the incoming superintendent. But really this is a board decision on how you would like for me to proceed forward with this.
Well, my take is I would like to give the incoming superintendent as much or the candidates as much time as possible. I mean, these are really critical decisions that certainly most of us as board members haven't had any experience with at all, and you need somebody that's more than competent. You want somebody who can effectively work with the superintendent.
Tammy?
I agree with what Jack have just said. We definitely, they're very important, crucial roles, positions that need to start being screened and get the preparation prepared. That's pretty much, yeah, we just definitely need to start looking in that area. And I like the idea of having the candidates ready and we're kind of vetted out, and then hopefully, the new superintendent would be able to weigh in on he or she's thoughts.
Stacy?
I agree. They definitely need to have a say in the whole situation. And I think that if we do screen those and give them some of our better information, then they'll be able to make a better choice in what they want and what they feel will best work with them in years to come, because we hope that we don't lose an entire group again real soon. We don't want to have to go through that again. It's going to be tough to replace 3 of your upper administration all in one time.
5.
But yeah.
Sherry?
Yeah, I think that, we're all probably in the same, same consensus as far as getting things rolling and get them put in place where it's going to be a little easier for the superintendent when he, like Tammy said, he or she is put in place, and then let them have a say in who they're going to partner with.
Okay.
So
Lance?
then, sorry.
No,
Lance?
I agree. I agree with the consensus that I've heard so far.
Okay, Chris?
I agree to a point of that, getting the ball rolling and just the timing of it. I want to make sure that the superintendent has the majority of the say, if not all the say, in who they're going to work with in administration. If we can help them to make it faster for them, but I don't want to pigeonhole them with, well, here's your list and pick from that. I just want to make sure we give them all the options we can.
I agree with Chris.
Yeah, good point, Chris. Good point.
I think it is important to get started, though, for sure.
Lori, does that help you any?
It does. So if I bring the organizational chart with the roles and responsibilities to the board in March for the board to look at and elicit feedback, then we can have potential job descriptions ready to start having the positions posted, because we definitely want to post them in March.
Absolutely.
Because as people finish their contracts, they will definitely be interviewing and finishing their contracts, and then have basically the applicants ready for the incoming superintendent to interview.
Okay.
I just have one question.
Go ahead.
On the executive director operations, is that, since you were saying, Lori, that this is very just like a rough preliminary, just an idea put in place to get it going. On some of these, is there any way to like lighten that for this person, or is this going to be are we looking for a very full-time hands-on in all of it, or can we cut that back to like a part-time? Because I'm just thinking like even like the director of health, like they're going to be in charge of the health department. Is the health department, are they not, not that they're not capable, but what I'm asking is like some of these departments seems like they have directors of their departments. Do they really need another person overseeing them, or can we get by with them actually interacting with either the superintendent assistant or the board, or what I'm saying, like can we lessen that load and maybe lower that salary?
Yeah, and that's part of the reason why I put a executive director there instead of an assistant superintendent, because it really isn't. And I know what you're saying, Sherry, because I was looking at this, and really a lot of this is more of a supervisory and then helping, deal with fires that need to be put out and things like that. So that section will definitely be significantly reworked.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is there any way that you can include where these people in these other areas that are being supervised, where their pay scale is, or what we're paying these? Do we have that information, or is that
Are you
something?
talking like for what is it, director of transportation? You want to know what Lena's making?
Yeah, where those people fall in the pay scale? Yes.
We actually have that on the website in our salary schedule, Stacy.
Okay.
All of these except for the executive director of operations, which that's the area that needs to be worked and may even look completely different, quite frankly. But all the rest of these positions are included on the salary schedule.
Good. Okay. Any more?
I have to step away again real fast.
Okay. Does that give you the information you need, Lori, to proceed?
It does. And then I'll keep the board updated with the weekly updates. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Lori.
The next one is the COVID vaccination plan. And go ahead, Lori, and back you up if you need it.
And we can actually probably move this on a little bit faster too, because I, definitely want to have Sherry Noyes present and her
yeah,
hanging in as much as we are. Yeah. So the exciting news is we have the vaccination plan that will be starting to be implemented this Saturday, and I'll let Carol talk a little bit about that. What I had talked to Sherry Wright about is February 20th, this Saturday, we have 2/3 of our staff being immunized. that means March 20th, which is a Saturday, we will have the majority or 2/3 of our staff being immunized again. And if you have been reading these for the side effects of the second shot, it usually lasts about 24 hours, but for, some people it lasts a little bit longer, or they have the side effects and then they're tired. So what I wanted to propose to the board and have a discussion for your consideration is to not have school on March 22nd. So staff can stay home and recuperate from that second shot. Because I feel like that the staff has been very diligent this year. And then the other factor too is I worry about not having enough coverage because we don't have subs to cover for staff that's out.
Lori, I think that's really important. In addition to being tired, one of the side effects that I've heard, fortunately, it haven't been affected, I don't think that way, but people are sort of lose their ability to make good judgments. They don't do necessarily do the right thing. And again, it doesn't last long, but you don't want somebody in front of a class who might be making bad judgments.
I'll turn the lights off when I get done.
Or even
you don't want somebody
driving,
behind the wheel. Yeah.
Right, or behind the wheel.
Driving to school.
So I just have a question. I mean, is this something that we could still somehow, maybe the teachers aren't working, but maybe that the teachers can plan ahead where they have some kind of curriculum for those kids on that day so that they're actually maybe even doing something at home, like remotely, or something that we can still keep the kids engaged?
Yeah, we can definitely do that and have remote assignments given out to the students and make sure that they take their laptops home that Friday. So that's actually a very good suggestion.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because there should be plenty of time for them to get something together.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very good suggestion, Sherry.
Okay. Does Carol want to say something?
Yeah, so the board's in agreement that we can officially not have in-person learning on the 22nd?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, I agree.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, thank you, board. Just to keep it really brief and to summarize what I was saying before is that our first vaccination clinic is planned for this Saturday. The actual schedule for the people getting the vaccinations is from 9:30 to roughly 2:30. We do anticipate having somewhere between probably 215 and 220 staff get the vaccination on Saturday, which is exciting. There have been some staff that have already received vaccination through the hospital and their age group and that type of thing. We have incorporated the charters, subs, coaches, and BOCES into our vaccination clinic as well. So we really appreciate the health department working with us so closely in putting this clinic on, and Sue's team and Sue have been amazing in all of the work behind the scenes also to get this ready. So we'll be there all day and helping support the health department and getting folks vaccinated. And I think in talking to teachers and staff today and scheduling appointments, people are very, very excited and happy to be getting the vaccination. So that will happen this Saturday. And then as Lori said, the second clinic is scheduled for March 20th. And we'll be releasing more details about that as it gets closer and staying in contact with the folks to schedule for that clinic as well.
Okay. Anything else? Any questions?
I have a quick question, Carol.
Uh-huh.
Is this the list and the outreach? Is this an ongoing revolving list? Or you making accommodations for staff as it goes, like that might not have got on the list as of now, but may want to?
Yes, thank you. So that's a really good question. So we did an initial survey of staff in January and anticipation of this to get a sense of who was interested in the vaccine, and that became the first list. And then from there, we did a couple more prompts. We sent out, once we knew that the date of the first clinic, we sent out a save the date to all the folks on that list. And then at that point, we had some additional people surface and say, no, I really wanted to be on the list. I missed the survey or that type of thing. We created a wait list at that point. We've been tracking the list probably, I don't know, every other day, following up with people. And through that process, there's been folks that have been withdrawn from the list because they've been able to get the vaccine at another source, as I mentioned, due to their age group or something else. And as that has happened, we've been able to lift people off of the wait list. At this point, we do not have anyone on the wait list. Everyone that has contacted us up through this afternoon that wanted to be added to the vaccination list for Saturday is on the list for Saturday.
Great.
Good.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That was a good question.
Anybody else? Thank you, Carol. You're doing an
Thank you.
awesome job.
Thank you.
I'd just like to acknowledge everyone's from the health department to Sue Cecilia, to Carol, to the whole team on making this happen for all of our staff. It's pretty exciting, and I know staff's relieved to be able to get the vaccine.
Did I read somewhere where we might be eligible to do some at-home testing?
Yes. So we are actively in a pilot with the state for at-home testing, and Sue had sent out a survey soliciting interest for that probably 2.5 weeks ago. We do have a group of about 50 staff that indicated they would like to participate in that. And I believe that the at-home tests are going out this week, but I can confirm that with Sue. We are still offering the drive-through tests that we've been doing with the nursing team on Mondays and Thursdays for staff that want to do that instead of the at-home testing. So we have both options right now. And then of course, there's still the community testing that there's always been.
Fantastic. You guys are doing an awesome job. Thank you.
In fact, I took one of the home tests before I went and saw our granddaughter, and it's pretty nice. You have to do it at telehealth, and you just go through the process, and you know in 15 minutes whether it's a positive or negative.
Is it a nasal swab?
It is.
I know some, I've read somewhere where there's saliva. They're doing some saliva.
Yeah, they were doing that at Fort Lewis.
At Fort Lewis? Well, that's where my granddaughter's working, is on the COVID station at Fort Lewis.
Oh.
Tells how much I ask her, huh?
Although I do have to say that the telehealth clinician was not happy when my cat got up and knocked off the spot when it was supposed to not be touched. She's like, I'm not supposed to touch it. And I'm like, sorry.
The cat.
Well, so does my cat have COVID or do I?
Oh.
Hey, any more? Then let's move right along to board goals. Did you guys look at them, review them, and narrow it down?
Yep.
Did I hear a no?
No, we've read it. I've read them all, and it's a good variety of things for us should keep us busy.
So do we want to just pick out 2 or 3 or shoot for the stars? Tell me your pleasure.
Yeah, I lost mine. I say shoot for the stars.
Okay. Tammy?
I agree. We need to shoot for the stars.
Lance?
I shoot for the stars.
Chris?
Always. Yeah. Can't miss. You can't miss if you shoot for the stars, Sherry.
No, you're going to hit something, aren't you?
Go big or go home.
Yeah, Sherry?
Yeah, I agree. Let's just tackle them all and do what we can.
Okay, let's pin them up somewhere. Jack, do you agree?
Yep, I agree.
Oops, we lost Sherry.
Oh, nope, I'm still here.
Nope, the other Sherry.
The other Sherry. Oh, the other Sherry.
She's frozen.
She's froze.
So I guess
That was a,
Sherry Noyes, would you like to?
okay. So I guess I'm moving on. 12 items to add to the next agenda. I know we have just the land dedication thing that we were going to add, and then the workshop at 6 o'clock with Kyle. If there's not anything else, we can call the meeting. Okay, if there's nothing else, then I will adjourn this meeting at 9:35.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Good night.
Bye.
Have a good night.